Hi, everybody. Wanted to do a sermon review from John chapter 15, verses 9 to 11. Here's what we studied the other day. Jesus is facing the cross in a matter of hours. He's departing from his disciples and he wants to encourage them. He says in John chapter 15, verse 9, "As the Father loved me, also I have loved you. Abide in my love." So Jesus said that the Father loved him. And as the Father loved him, in the same way, the same quality of love Jesus was giving to the disciples. The Father loved the Son perfectly and consistently and without measure. He loved him sinlessly, and he loved him with all of his heart invested in him. And Jesus said, in the way, the quality of the love that the Father has given me, that's the love that I'm giving you. If you're a follower of Jesus, you never need to doubt the love of Jesus for you. The Father never stopped loving the Son, and the Son never stops loving us. And so he said, I want you to live there. I want you to abide in that love. I want you to experience it. I want you to embrace it. I want you to receive it every day. The second thing he said, verse 10, "If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love." So he gives us the process. He gives us the steps about how to experience. And when I use the word abide, when the Bible uses the word abide, it means to live or dwell in. But I also see it as experiencing. How do we experience the love of God? By obeying his commandments. Obeying his commandments can sound like some duty, but really if we're obeying his commandments, we're having faith in him. We're believing that his ways are better than our ways. We're believing that he knows what we need in life. We're believing that he hears our prayers and that we're not going to take shortcuts or detours in trying to accomplish the things of life that God seems to be silent on or not answering yet. If we obey his commandments, it's a display of love. And if we are obeying his commandments, we have the ability and the possibility of experiencing his love because we're walking with him. Obedience is a reflection of faith. Faith in Jesus will lead to obedience. And the result, we're going to see in just a moment, verse 11, is that we have joy. Verse 11, "These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you and that your joy may be full." So Jesus said, I've told you these things because the end result of this whole thing is that I want you to experience my joy. Jesus was hours away from the cross, and yet he's still speaking of his joy. His joy was not circumstantial. It was based on his relationship with his Father in heaven. It was based on him knowing that he was always doing the right thing. He always did those things that pleased the Father. And so that joy from walking in obedience to the Father, Jesus said, you can have joy when you walk in obedience to me. Once again, obedience we should not see as simply duty, though it is a duty, but it's also oneness. It's also agreement. It's also unity. It's us saying, Jesus, I believe that your ways are better than my ways. And even when I don't understand your ways, I'm going to obey your word. And as I do, I find myself walking side by side with you, experiencing your joy. Every follower of Jesus knows what it's like to go outside of the plans of God and the ways of God. And what's the first thing we feel? It's shame or guilt or separation from God. That's the result of sin. What's the result of obedience? Jesus said it's joy. So if you're a follower of Jesus, let me ask you this today. What's the joy level in your life like? What's the quality of it like? Is it circumstantial or is it based on relationship with Jesus? Jesus said, I've spoken these things that my joy, quality, the quality of joy that I have may remain in you, and so that your joy may be full. Jesus actually said we can have a life full of joy. What's it come from? From abiding in his love. If we love him, we'll obey his commandments. If we believe him, we'll obey his commandments. Faith is translated into obedience, and obedience leads to joy. So that's Jesus' plan and hope and will and desire for every son and daughter that follows him. Thanks for listening.